All right. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome back to yet again another Saturday morning mastermind. With me, I've got my business partner, one of the best mortgage loan officers in the business. And so, what's up, Mr. Steve Frost? Welcome.
What's up, B? Good morning.
Appreciate you. Appreciate you being here. So, we are going to we're live on. All right. Clubhouse, we just mute that. All right, perfect. So we're
Good.
live on Clubhouse and on YouTube. So if this is your first time with us, I kind of just tee up how this mastermind typically goes. Today, we're probably going to go for about 45 minutes, I would say, Steve. And then if you guys have questions that are watching out there in the audience, you can use the chat box in YouTube, and I'll start that off here. Questions here. Steve, you'll watch the chat box, and then I'm going to watch. If you're watching this or listening to this live on Clubhouse, and you want to have some dialogue, I'll bring you in off mute, and we can have a conversation about any of the things that we're talking through. So I'm going to get a couple things going here. So Steve, here's okay. All right, let's jump in. So welcome, everybody. Good morning. Let's jump into our mastermind. So Steve, what I want to kind of talk through with everyone today is how to work. So this is for real estate agents and mortgage loan officers. I want to talk through with you today how those two people can partner together to help each other grow their businesses together. I call it a partnership. And for the audience, to be clear, I think something you can do long-term in the future, potentially is actually partner with a mortgage company like I've done with Steve Frost. But we're not talking about that today. We're talking about a real estate agent that works at a brokerage, a mortgage loan officer that works at another company. How can those two people come together and work together to help each other grow their businesses? So how we're going to do this, we're going to break this down into 3 different sections today. We're going to talk about how you can help each other from a lead generation standpoint. We'll talk about lead conversion, and then we'll talk about the client experience. So let's just jump right into it and talk about lead generation. So Steve, I think the interesting thing is most lender realtor relationships that I see anyway are talking about, hey, let's go and do a Zillow account. Let's go do a shared realtor.com. Let's go partner on a YLOPO. Would you agree? Is that kind of what you're seeing?
See it a lot, most definitely.
I mean, is that, in your time talking with real estate agents, is that mostly what they're looking for as far as working with you from a lead generation standpoint?
Yeah, 100%.
So,
which I get.
Yeah, I totally get. So everybody watching this, I'm gonna suggest something with much love, much respect. That's going to challenge that belief, which is, I believe the best buyer lead. Actually, better yet, Steve, why don't we do this? Everybody watching this on YouTube, all 13,000 of you, I'm curious. What do you guys think? Put it in the chat. What is the best, highest quality buyer lead that you and your mortgage loan officer can work? I'm just curious. Go ahead and start putting stuff in the chat, and I want to give them just a minute, because I think that's the issue, Steve, is, again, from a mastermind perspective, I want to get people involved, but
yeah.
And don't give them the answer. I know you and I talk about this a lot, but yeah, what were you going to say?
I was thinking it goes, my theme lately is like unconventional, right? It's not the conventional lead source is the Zillow, the realtor.com. The conventional way to buy a house is sell your house between, there's so many different things right now in this market that are making us think unconventionally.
Yeah, that's a good point. So I think people, here we go. Referral. Okay, good. Carl. Yes. There's even I'm curious, and I'll just give them the answer, right? So I'll get you guys going. I want you to change your mindset. Everybody watching this now or later when you're watching the recording, the best buyer opportunity that we have as real estate agents and mortgage loan officers have is a seller. And for a lot of you, that's the first time maybe you've ever heard that, but think about this. Would you rather, because here's the challenge, right? There's all kinds of, sayings in the real estate industry, as you know, Steve, like buyers are liars. And I don't want to work with buyers because they shop for houses for 6 months and they end up, never buying anything, or I gotta put in all this work for free and potentially never get paid. Well, I want everybody to think about what it's like working with a seller who has to buy a house. Yeah. Steve, what are your thoughts on that?
I agree with you 100%. I mean, it's super captive, right? I mean, they're getting rid of one home and they're definitely going to have to get another one.
Yeah. And that's exactly right. So when we coach real estate agents or mortgage loan officers, I try to have them think about that differently, right? Instead of going to compete for the Zillow leads or the realtor.com leads that are super, super expensive. They have a long conversion cycle. You still got to prospect and follow up like crazy. Both you and I would agree that most salespeople are absolutely terrible at follow up and systems. Yeah. And so if a mortgage loan officer then changes their strategy and says, okay, Mr. Realtor, I'm going to help you get more listings, those people have to buy a house. And to your point, there's no better buyer out there than that has their house under contract and has to go buy a house. Like they have to buy a house. That is the best buyer that you want to work with.
It's creating urgency without you doing it. Urgency is being created without you being the bad guy.
That's right. And so I want all of you to think about that as you leave this mastermind here and start to go back and meet with your loan officers. I want you to start having the conversation with them about, hey, why don't we look at this differently? What if we went out there together and try to secure listings? Because here's the other great thing about going after listings versus buyers. We talked about the seller of the home, right? Being the best buyer opportunity for both the agent and the mortgage loan officer. But let's think about in this market, this is crazy. In an inventory market that is as low as it is, the reality is most buyers are going right to the listing agent. That's the truth. I mean, that is the absolute truth. There's bypassing the buyer agent. They're doing whatever they need to do. So they're calling the listing agent directly. Okay. So that opens up a whole nother opportunity for you and your mortgage partner to do business. You've got sign call opportunities. You've got people inquiring online. If you own the inventory, you'll own the market. That's always been my opinion, Steve. How could we better explain that, I think, to people that are sitting there competing for Zillow leads?
If you think about it, and you made a really good point. So with a Zillow lead, number one, you're paying for one lead, right? For one buyer lead with a long lead time to convert, but you're still prospecting and you're following up on that lead. So if you can create a prospecting system or work together on finding a way to get more listing leads, you're spending the same amount of time prospecting, probably less money. And then when you look at the buyer lead perspective, you can look at it's almost like a 2-for-1, right? So you're getting two leads for the work of one, creating raving fans with the same time. And then when it comes to being the listing agent and listing that house, I mean, there's all kinds of different strategies we can do from the financing side, or maybe you buy before you sell, or different things we can do where you look like an expert and maybe you get the buy out of the way and then you sell with the inventory being so tight right away after. There's a lot of different things you can do when you come from that side of things.
That's exactly right. I mean, when I coach a real estate agent and I try to get them to focus all of their energy, effort, resources on going to build a listing-based business, what I tell them is for every listing, you're probably going to generate 5 to 10 buyer opportunities for every one listing, to your point, versus going to pay $100 or $150 or $200 for one buyer lead from Zillow.
Yeah.
Exactly. So let's talk about some strategies to actually do that. So my first recommendation, okay? So let's pretend for a second all of you guys are watching this say, okay, Brandon, Steve, that makes a lot of sense. Well, what do we do next? Well, the first thing that I think makes the most sense is there's really two things that work today to generate business on a consistent basis. That is direct prospecting and making content. Direct prospecting and making content. I would prefer that people get out of the internet lead business because it's like a rat race, and you're competing with the big boys. You're competing with the Quicken Loans of the world. You're competing with all those people. And so if you can make organic content with your mortgage loan officer, we're going to talk about that in a second, and your mortgage loan officer can help you with your direct prospecting, it's going to make all the difference in the world. So my first recommendation, and make sure you guys go and look at your own compliance and RESPA laws with your broker. But instead of going to contribute to a Zillow ad spend, which is $1,000 a month, $2,000 a month that you're looking to split, why don't you guys go 50-50 on a listing-based prospecting platform? Wow, that's a mouthful. Like a Vulcan 7 or a RedX or a LandVoice. We're talking about the cream of the crop listing-based leads, which is Vulcan 7, $280 a month total. So now you're splitting that with your mortgage loan officer, $140 a piece to go out there and build a listing-based business. Steve, would you have any issue if an agent came to you and said, Steve, would you be open to splitting my Vulcan 7 bill with me?
Not $140 a month, not at all.
Yeah, because
for sure.
Because people are asking for a whole lot more than that to go fight and compete on realtor.com, aren't they?
Yeah, tons.
And way more. And the reality, and I don't want this entire mastermind to be about internet leads, why or why not. My issue with with internet leads is we talked about the long-term time from a conversion standpoint. The requirement of follow-up is almost unfathomable. The excitement when a mortgage loan officer and a realtor, when they buy leads, their excitement and their optimism is at an all-time high. Then they start spending the money, the leads start coming in, and they say, wait a minute, these people just all don't want to just buy houses today. I'm like, no, they're 3, 6, 9, 12 months in the future. And oh, by the way, you need to call them 6, 10, 12 times a day to get the conversion over that period of time. And Steve, be willing to burn 6 months worth of ad spend before you start getting a return. Now, everybody watching this, the truth is you're just not going to do that. And so that's where I feel like, you could go and get a Vulcan 7 or a RedX and have agents start calling for sale by owners, expired listings, for rent by owners, absentee owners, and you start working on skills and securing new listings.
I've been in that. I'll say this in my mortgaging career, I've been in the internet lead game. I spent a lot of time in that world and I had a lot of success in it. But there's nothing worse than waiting for a lead. For me anyway, like as far as like just feeling secure in my business and like going forward and planning, you can't plan anything when you're waiting on a lead source,
Yeah, exactly right. And that's another good point, right? I mean, buying internet leads, you're sitting there waiting for another company. You're putting the credit card out and sitting back and waiting. I don't know about you guys watching this. I'm not going to build my business and my family's future on waiting. I want to be in the driver's seat. So that's why direct prospecting and content, which we'll talk about here in a second, makes all the sense in the world. All right. So that's my first piece of advice is to start being listing focused with your mortgage partner. And it might take some conversation with your mortgage partner for them to get it, right? They're not used to working with agents to help them to secure listings. They're not used to that, but you've got to help them to understand what we're talking about in today's mastermind. So they say, wow, yeah, that's a great point. Because all you have to do is ask a mortgage person one question. Hey, what type of buyer would you rather work with? Would you rather have an internet lead that I'm buying from Facebook? Or would you rather work with one of my sellers who has to buy a house in the next 30 days? What do you think they're going to say every time?
Right.
right? No brainer. Okay, next, let's talk about content. Well, Brandon, Steve, I hate the camera. I don't want to push play. Get over it. If you're going to win in 2021 and beyond, you got to start making content. You cannot be a secret mortgage loan officer. You cannot be a secret agent. If you want your sphere to respond to you, to generate referrals, you have to make content. Otherwise, your competition will, and you'll be left in the dust. Steve, what are your thoughts on content? And then we'll give them some specific examples.
I mean, I can say as far as getting in front of the camera, I felt the same way. I mean, there was like the first time I remember we did a video, I literally abused a piece of gum in my mouth for like 45 minutes. That piece of gum was screaming for help. And then like, I went through the whole Beetlejuice phase. It looked like I have a small head, you know, like you go through all that stuff, but like you'll get more comfortable with it, you know, and you look around and that's not, I tell you this all the time in the way that's made me comfortable is that, you know, if people aren't interested or they don't like the way you look or something, they're just not going to watch it in most cases, you know?
Yeah.
So for me, that part was easy.
Yeah.
And then the content, just getting out there. I mean, it's surprising, you know, you don't think that there's that much activity around it. And then, you know, 3 weeks later, somebody will say, hey, you know, I saw you were live on a market update with a couple of agents and, you know, my husband and I liked your perspective and we're looking at buying a home, you know, and now you have a lead that 3 weeks ago, you have no idea, like if the person you did the live with that was on there, that was directed toward their sphere, this person's going like, I don't even know them. Like they saw it on somebody else's Facebook page. And then here I am, you know, working a lead and helping them out, you know?
It's huge. It's so massive. What Steve just said, you guys, and Hillary, I see your question. We'll come right back to it. What Steve just said is like gold. He said a couple things. Number one, he said piggybacking off of each other's audiences, right? So I'm doing a live stream right now on my YouTube channel, on my Clubhouse with Steve Frost, who's my mortgage partner. So Steve gets to benefit from my audience. Well, what we're talking about doing is doing the same thing with your mortgage partners, right? You could start to do, and we'll give you guys some examples here in just a second, but think about that. Number one is helping each other piggyback off the audiences. And then two, the other thing is how many of you, honestly, are seeing mortgage loan officers and real estate agents making valuable content online? It's not very many. Yeah, they're posting themselves in front of an open house. I'm talking about valuable content that people love, they consume, they share. And all of you watching this right now, if I asked you, would you prefer to have people contacting you to do business, or would you prefer to call people? Every single one of you, myself included, would prefer to have our phone blowing up with people who you've attracted to do business with through content. That's the power of making content. So let's give you an example, or let me answer Hillary's question, Steve, and then we can jump into some examples. So she says, what kind of budget does a mortgage lender have? I mean, Steve, what would you say? I mean, I think it's all over the place, right?
It is unlimited, Hillary. No, it's so it really depends on the lead source and you know, the propensity to work the leads and in the market that the leads are in, you know, in some areas where, and a lot of the agents that I work with on the Zillow partnerships will tell me like, hey, I have, you know, I'm looking for a partnership in Zillow, but it's a smaller loan amount type of zip code. And this, cause you buy it by the zip code. They'll say, you know, these aren't that great, but would you be open if I get a better zip code in this area? And like, what's the budget? And then you're just kind of looking at, you know, what a lot of the lead providers will give you like an estimate of ROI. And you just look at it from that perspective. I've also talked to agents that asked me to participate in their marketing and have said like, you know, my lender gives me $1,000 a month. And sometimes I work those leads and sometimes I don't. I'm like, well, who's giving you that?
Yeah.
You know, so it really just depends. Every situation is a little bit different. But I would say, depending on the size of the lender, you know, $500 to $1,000 a month. Depending on the agent and like how many agents you're working with and things like that per agent.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think that it just has to make business sense, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think the conversation there, Hillary, when it comes to budget it's all about expectations, I think is something that mortgage loan officers and realtors fail to talk through. And they just get so excited because one's trying to sell the other on something always, it seems like.
Yeah.
And what I think is missing is like, all right, dude, let's just talk about expectations. And it's just what I said a few minutes ago, Hillary. I don't know how long you jumped on, but it's like we both have to have the expectation that, like, if you're going to invest in each other's businesses, that we make no assumptions or decisions for at least 3 to 6 months. Like, you got to give it an opportunity. And then what is the role each of you will play in the thing, right? So I think all those conversations are going to be really, really critical.
I think something else to keep in mind too with that is you have to have an open mind if it's not making sense, because it's business, right? So if you have a relationship with the loan officer and you guys have had success in some transactions together, you say, hey, let's try this marketing. Then you have a Zillow sharing in a lead buy or sharing in a marketing cost, and it's not working. You have to be able to understand each other's perspective and saying, hey, like, this isn't working for me, without it destroying your business relationship either. I mean, that's a conversation. You really have to set that expectation up front and kind of go back to it. Because the last thing you want to do is have a great referral partner that turns sour because a certain marketing didn't work, and maybe you didn't want to hear that it didn't work, like in that kind of thing. It's something just to keep in mind.
No, that's a great point. That's a great point. So let me give you guys some strategies for making content with your mortgage partners. First, I think that the fact that if you make content with another person, it makes it easier to overcome the fear if you're doing it together, right? So instead of flipping on the camera and making a video by yourself, if you got somebody with you, it's like, all right, come on, man, we got to do this together. We're both scared. We're both nervous, but doing it together makes it easier. So the first thing I'd like to see everybody do, which is what Steve and I have done, is have a co-branded real estate show. Okay. There's no better content opportunity for you and your mortgage partners than to do a co-branded show. Now, when I say the word show, I think, Steve, people get real nervous. Like, Brandon, what are you talking about, show? Okay, it could be very simple. Go grab a free Zoom account, jump on a Zoom like Steve and I are on right now, and go live on your guys' Facebook pages every Thursday at 8 p.m. And so, well, Brandon, what do we talk about on the show? Well, it should be strategic advice, valuable advice. What's going on with the real estate market? How to buy, and what are interest rates doing? What are the best tactics and strategies right now to get your offers accepted in a seller's market? What's the best way to get your the highest price for your home? Hey, what's going to happen with the new administration as it relates to qualifying for mortgages? These are all examples of things that Steve and I talk about on our show that you could easily do. It's free, 100% free. And what Steve said a few minutes ago is exactly right. The first time, Steve, that the mortgage loan officer or the realtor gets a deal from making a video on social media, they'll be hooked. Would you agree?
I agree. And the content, I mean, you can pop on the Google machine and get topics for that, like top of mind topics. And it's very easy to talk about, and people are interested in it.
They are. It's amazing. And so I think we have to, what I talk about all the time, is detach from the outcome and fall in love with the action. Just do it, because here's the reality. Most of your audience, your Facebook people and all the people that be watching you, they do not have the courage to hit play on the camera. When you do, you automatically start to build credibility. You start to build confidence. All of those things happen. It's like a magic thing when you start making video content. You start to establish yourself as this expert authority, where before you were just having a beer with them at over dinner. They start to look at you from a different angle.
Yeah.
So that'd be one, is having a co-branded show. Okay, that you do on a consistent basis. You have a Facebook event that goes out every single week. That'd be number one. Number two is, I think, what we would call real estate, specific strategy webinars. So you could do first-time home buyer webinars, first-time home seller webinars for the real estate agent and mortgage loan officers database.
Yep.
right? So these are webinars that you can do weekly, you can do them monthly, you can do them a couple times a month. And instead of like the olden days, like we go rent out the hall and try to get people there and bring coffee and donuts and all that, it's so much easier to do a Zoom webinar. Email your database, Steve. I'll email my database. Let's get our audiences together and let's start pouring into that audience from a content perspective. And what we're talking about is the law of reciprocity. So can you share with the audience your opinion or the value of the law of reciprocity and how that works?
Yeah. I mean, when you're doing, I think the easiest content, the easiest thing that you can give back to, whether it be an agent's database or even like a CPA or accountants or financial advisors, is educational content. I think that it's an easy topic, right? So everybody wants to learn. People like hearing about these things, and you never know. I mean, the first thing people do when they go to buy a house is they Google it, and they're just trying to find what information matters the most, or what they're trying to figure out, like what Google's search optimization, right, is the information they need the most, rather than, if, like I said, these videos get out there, right? You do these webinars, you do them live, you share them to your database, and people say like, hey, you might be at getting your nails done or something, right? And you hear somebody say, oh, my little cousin Terry is looking at buying a home. Like, hey, I know a guy that just did this cool webinar. They gave you kind of all these details and these slides and PowerPoint and all this stuff. And these are all things that you can have created, or if you're good at PowerPoint, you can create them on your own, you co-brand them. And it's literally, it just really easy to give back. And it truly helps people, I mean, that's the nice part about educational webinars and things like that.
That's right. And so Hillary asked, hey, should we do this on our Facebook business page or personal page?
Oh.
I think both. You should have a business page that gets shared to the personal account. So both are happening. You're building the brand on both. And yeah, I mean, I think I thought of something that you just said that made me realize something, but so the law of reciprocity, right? Like you're contributing into these people's lives through educational content. And it's all free for them, right? It's free for them, free for you. And the law of reciprocity works just like that. I mean, the more you pour into your database, the more people will want to, in return, help you without even having to ask or be salesy or be weird and call your friends for referrals. It will just start to happen organically the more content you start to put out there. And so I can go on and on about content, but there's a couple different things that you can start working on with your mortgage loan officer. Start to do a real estate show live on Facebook, and then start doing webinars for your database. I think those are really good things. And then the third thing that potentially could be the most powerful thing we give this audience today, and Steve, I'm a freak about this, is the annual real estate review. Now, this is the way I think about this. CPAs, let's talk about CPAs for a second, and financial planners. CPAs, every single person watching this mastermind right now is going to have a conversation with their CPA annually and never think it's weird. Would you agree?
100%.
I mean, they have to do their taxes or they go to jail, right?
They pay for them.
Yeah, exactly. So like that type of behavior is very normal. Well, when I hear the word client over customer, I think of the difference being, when I hear the word client, I'm thinking long-term relationship. When I hear the word customer, it's short-term transactional, right? So everybody that's watching this right now is, they all say clients, right? They all say clients, but it's like, okay, well, what are you doing to follow up with the people in your database? What are you doing to pour into those relationships into your database? And the truth is, they're not doing anything. They don't communicate with the database. They're looking for the next deal on Zillow. They've already sold those people a house. So then they wonder why am I not getting referrals? Well, because you don't put any time, energy, or effort into the database. So the annual real estate review strategy that we're going to talk about right now could change the trajectory of your business forever. It has that power. So here's how they work. And I see your guys' questions. I'm going to come back to them in just a second. Every year, just like a CPA, just like a financial planner, You and your mortgage loan officer are going to call through your database to schedule real estate reviews. We're going to simply talk to the people in our database about what their plans are for this year when it comes to real estate. Are they planning to buy, sell, home improvements? Or they have anything that they're planning for? Because you and your mortgage loan officer
go up.
Yeah, property taxes.
You
And
have
here's
escrow shortage,
Yeah, escrow shortage, all these different things that you can talk through with your clients. And I think we forget though, like we're talking about the law of reciprocity. I'm not just talking about everybody about looking for a refinance for your mortgage guy or looking for a sale. What if you found out that Bob, one of your favorite clients, is planning to paint the exterior of his home in spring? Well, wouldn't it only make sense that you referred him to somebody? Don't you think that that's your obligation to your clients? And that's what I'm talking about with the annual real estate review. It's about communicating with the people in your database that you all say you care about. Like you say, oh, I love my clients. I have a relationship with them all. That you're providing value. So that's the first thing, right, Steve, is having that conversation to say, hey, what are your plans this year, home improvement wise? Now, next, let's now review the mortgage. So talk about some of the things that you were just saying that might make sense when we're having these annual real estate reviews with our database.
So the first thing that comes to mind with these two, and just an easy in on doing these, is that people love like a technical review of their home value. People love to see that they made a good decision, that the value's gone up and there's equity there. So as a loan officer or a mortgage professional, when you come into these reviews, you're having the conversation of what are your taxes doing? And the reason I say that is because in the mortgage world, a lot of times there's a lot of opportunity, and granted, rates are super low right now. Maybe it's not always going to be the case, but in the past, there's always a way you can do a very low or no cost refinance. And maybe it doesn't save them tons and tons of money on the rate, but it helps them reset their escrow account. Maybe their escrow is short and they're paying an extra $200 a month, and it's hard. Maybe it's right on the toes or the heels of a pandemic or after the holidays and things like that. So you can get people right on taxes and insurance and escrow accounts. You're comparing the market to market rates compared to what they have now. A huge one, and it's an easy discussion to have because it's a big hot button, whether you're a mortgage professional or real estate professional, is PMI. And I think that Hillary had mentioned like content resource, like PMI is a giant one that we've had, when we do those shows, and we have a lot of interaction regarding, do I do a lender paid PMI or do I pay it myself monthly? So somebody's paying a PMI. Well, if you bought a house, you put 5% down and you've gained 10% more in equity. Now you're in a different bracket of PMI. Can we get you a better deal on that? Do you have equity? Like you said, you want to paint the outside of your house, or maybe you bought the house and you redid the kitchen and you finished the basement, touched up your landscaping. Maybe your home value is worth more and you put that on a Discover card. Can we roll that into your mortgage or home equity loan or things like that? There's all kinds of things that come up with your home.
That's right.
And it's easy to say that when things do happen in your house, it's always a big expense. It's never like, oh, my water heater blew out, but thankfully it was only like $12 to fix,
Yeah. And this is, and so let me add two things. In addition to what Steve just said, the other part of the real estate annual review, which you touched on, is doing a CMA annually for your clients. I think that's our obligation. If you want to call yourself the real estate agent for life or whatever you want to call yourself, then I believe it is our obligation to keep our database up to speed with the value of their home annually. So to your point, that's what they want to know. You talk about pouring value into this annual real estate review. All of the things that Steve and I just shared, your database, let's just say you got 100 people in your database and you spread them out between January and February. When you do that, there is no better way to earn referrals. There's no better way. And so imagine a world, you and your mortgage loan officer, you schedule these between January and February in the beginning of the year, and you guys break them out. Let's say you do 3, 4, 5 of those per week, right? You can get through your entire database and having great conversations, whether these are Zoom meetings or face-to-face meetings at their home or in your office or conference calls. if you can give them a mortgage review, you could give them an annual CMA. You could talk about what their plans are, possibly refer them to some of the people in your network. That is the best way for these people, for you to stay top of mind with these folks for the entire year. We're not even talking about the other things you're going to do out throughout the year. That one thing alone, if you take nothing else away from today's mastermind, but the annual real estate review, I believe you could double, triple the amount of referrals you're getting from the people in your database. So let me know if you guys have any questions on that. All right. So should we do the review every quarter or only annually? I think that it's a great question. You know, we talk about it. I think that annually is a great place to start. And from there, if you feel like you are, you need to do more, you certainly can. But I think annually is appropriate, because here's one thing I know. I talk to realtors, and so do you, Steve, every day, all day. And they say, I say, hey, how's it going? What's going on with you today? They're like, I'm pissed. I'm like, why? What's up? Why are you pissed? Tom, I'm going to bring you on right now. Let me see. I'm pissed. I'm like, why are you pissed? They're like, well, because my past client, I just drove past their house and there's a competitor's sign in the front yard. And I say, well, dude, how often do you follow up with the people in your database? They're like, well, never. I'm like, well, that's on you. What's up, Tom Tillier?
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing well, buddy. You?
Good. Hey, I want to add something to that. So something I'm implementing right now is whether you use HomeBot or HomeBeat. You know, HomeBeat is part of the Cloud CMA program. It is an additional charge on top of the Real Comp version. But whether you use HomeBot or HomeBeat, they can send a monthly analysis to your clients through email. But I still think the paper, the actual act of printing something, putting it in the mail once a year is really, really strong. Nice branded folder, something they don't throw away. They keep it, but then every month, automated, it sends for you as well.
That's so strong. Tom, thank you for that. Steve, could you hear him okay through that?
No, I was just texting you. Bring him closer to the mic.
Oh, okay. All right. So I will do that moving forward. So anybody out there on Clubhouse that wants to contribute to this mastermind, just raise your hand in there and I'll bring you off mute, and I'll make sure I'll bring him closer to this mic as well. So yeah, Tom is exactly right. He's just saying, you know, the importance of, there's some technology out there that could keep your database up to speed kind of with what's going on in their neighborhoods, but there's nothing like, you know, you presenting them once a year with this paper CMA that's all branded. It looks like you put a ton of work into it, because you want to be the person that knows more about the value of their house than anybody else on earth. So we could spend 3 days on this one tactic, but I'm begging and I'm pleading with everybody with much love and much respect that you please implement this in your business with your mortgage loan officer. It will be an absolute game changer. So Steve, you want to add anything to that before we move on?
And I said it before, it's the easiest. Everybody loves like HomeBot is an amazing tool. Like everybody, and the reason it's great is because the detailed info about your house. So it's the easiest conversation to have with somebody. It's so low impact from a resistance, you know, like, why am I taking this call? And doing it in person and over the phone once a year like that reminds them of how awesome you are. Like Papa Joe, like remember something from when you guys work together, how you know each other, and just build that relationship. Because it goes back to, hey, you know, raking leaves with the neighbor, and you look over at Tom and you're like, yeah, can you believe values in the area? And like, oh, what do you mean? Like, oh, I was talking to my agent the other day, he gave me a CMA, and like our house went up, and all of a sudden Tom's like, well, what's my house worth? Well, here, call my guy.
Yeah.
Like, people talk about their houses. They love to talk about their houses.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And so, and oh, by the way, I'll just add this to this conversation. How many real estate agents are doing annual client reviews? Oh yeah, that's right. 0. I mean, how many people on this watching right now have ever done an annual client review or even heard about a realtor doing an annual client review? So to your point, Steve, it's a great opportunity for you to put yourself apart from all the competition, certainly. But you talk about staying top of mind, which is the goal of a real estate agent with their database and a mortgage loan officer to get referral business. I don't know if there's anything better.
Can I give a specific example? 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So we have a client that we worked with, and you sold him a house 2 years ago. We did a review for him at the beginning of last year, right? And we ended up lowering his rate like a full percent, lowered his PMI. And I do annual mortgage reviews on my clients. So I look at rates, and his rate was really good compared to the market. Went in, had the conversation. I ran through the numbers again. We found a way to save him another 3/8 on his rate with no closing costs. And I found as a broker, we found him a different lender with lower PMI. So now I've done 2 transactions with him from a mortgage loan officer perspective. And the whole time I bring up, you were referred to me by Brandon, so I'm keeping your name at the top of their mind. And that's just that was a mortgage or an annual real estate review we did. And now we've saved that client, thousands of dollars a year in interest, and on his PMI, and we're lowering his rate a small amount, but there's an opportunity there. He finished his basement, gave him freed up cash flow, skipped a mortgage payment, made a lump sum payment on what he spent to finish his basement. And the guy is over the moon about it. And it was just a random phone call, it's not a random phone call, but it was just one phone call,
Aaron Wittenstein, come on, my buddy. How you doing?
Good, man. How are you?
Doing great. So, what are your thoughts on this conversation?
Well, yes, I'm listening. I just wanted to say it's been forever since we last talked, and I've been kind of like watching what you're doing. I just want to say, man, congrats on all your success, dude. It's absolutely amazing. I don't want to say like proud of you because we don't know each other like that, but it's amazing to watch, man. Congratulations.
Oh man, I appreciate it. Coming from you, guy that I absolutely respect in this industry. So as much as I do, that means a lot. And those aren't just words, Aaron. I think you and I need to spend a lot more time together this year, collaborating on different projects, which I think we should. But thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
No, you're welcome. Just keep up the good stuff, man. A brokerage, all this stuff. It's amazing. Bear with me. I'm dropping a car off right now on the lease, so I may get caught up at any given point. But it's interesting to listen. Just what you guys are saying, mortgage brokers, LOs kind of working together. And have you ever worked with an LO on doing for sale by owner stuff? Have you ever had them reach out to them first and work out business that way?
Yeah, great question. So we're actually going to kind of in the next segment here, in just a minute, we're going to talk about some of those tactics in just a minute. So could you hear? No worries, Aaron. I appreciate you jumping on, man. Thanks for contributing. So Steve, could you hear that better?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Make sure you guys go follow Aaron Wittenstein on Clubhouse. He's always providing tons of value to the real estate industry. So make sure you guys go find him on Clubhouse and go follow him. All right. So let's keep moving forward. Because we only have about 10 minutes left. So we got a lot more to cover. So let's keep rocking and rolling. So Hillary says, what's HomeBot? Just Google it. There's a lot of great information in there. It's a really good tool.
Zillow too. It's like Zillow Pro.
That's right. Jamie, what's up, man? He says, fantastic value, guys. I appreciate it. Let's keep rocking and rolling. All right. So now I want to change segments and I want to start talking about lead conversion. So to Aaron's point, let's talk about some of those things. We talked about lead generation, lead conversion. Okay. So the first thing is I stress the importance of a mortgage loan officer and a real estate agent having a clear, tangible value proposition. What I'm seeing, and I see yours right behind your shoulder, by the way. So anybody's watching this on YouTube, you need to get clear with your mortgage loan officer what their value proposition is. And it can't be, oh, I give good service, because there's not a person on earth that wouldn't say the same thing. So you've got a mastermind with your own mortgage loan officer. Coach them up to say, dude or dudette, what is your value proposition? So when I'm talking to my clients, it's easy for me to get them excited to work with you. So Steve, quickly, can you walk us through what your value proposition and some of the things that you do that's different as a mortgage loan officer?
So my big one, and it's right over my shoulder, is just one voice. So that is any client that works with me works with myself. And then I have a processor, Jamie, who's amazing. That's it. Like, you're the agent, the listing, and we'll talk about what we do with listing agents, but listing agent, buyer's agent, title company, both clients, the seller, the buyer, both of them, they get our cell phone number, our office number. And the thing is, and it's not on here, but the thing that like the driving theme in my head, and what I tell Jamie all the time and our other loan officers is you have to be reliable. You have to stand behind exactly what you say you're going to do every time. So for us, it's one voice. It's a boutique experience. You're not going to go through like a round robin of people that don't care about you. Like we know all the people we touch. And if there's too many people for us to know, we have another one of our loan officers work with you that can guarantee that same experience and give them that one-off thing. Because there's really, and I tell agents this all the time, and I tell you this from the beginning, I always think about a real estate agent, especially from a buyer's perspective. And we were talking about buyer leads. Maybe they've been following up with them for 7 months. They've showed them 64 homes and spent like 13 Sundays and done all these things with them. And then we get an offer accepted and they're like, here, loan guy, like get us to the table. And all of a sudden it's kind of like out of your hands, And I think that, the one voice, daily updates, getting a client a loan done in the way that works for them and make them wildly aware of what they're getting every time. And we're going to show you multiple lenders. But again, taking all those things and living it, like we always say, like do the right thing when no one's looking. Like we're just always being reliable, whether we want to or not,
Yeah. And I would tell you guys, and I want to, we got a lot to get through, but the one voice in the daily updates, you've taken the biggest pain points about the mortgage process and you've created your own unique value proposition around them. Everybody watching this, how frustrating is it when you talk to one person, they say, well, let me transfer you to that department. And then you talk to that department and you have to re-explain your whole story again. Well, didn't you get the pay stub? Nope, I need another copy of the pay stub. I mean, it's ridiculous. And then the number one complaint, whether you're getting a mortgage or working with a realtor, is the lack of communication, not knowing what's going on. So, Steve, I love that you do daily updates. So let's pretend for a second your mortgage loan officer's got a clear, tangible value proposition. Well, the next thing that we're going to do from a lead conversion standpoint is do buyer consultations over Zoom and or in person together. So when you're talking to opportunities, leads, referrals, sellers that need to buy, we're going to schedule a buyer consultation. And oh, by the way, you should be doing those. You list buyers the same way you list sellers. And so your buyer consultation should always, I can't even think of a reason why you wouldn't, always be done with your mortgage loan officer, period, end of story. Because that whole entire conversation has to do with financing, buying the house. Can you think of, Steve, any reason why a realtor would do a buyer consultation without the LO present?
I can't think of a reason why. And really, unless you think that it's going to be awkward or something like that for your buyer is the only reason I could think of. And if you're not including your loan officer on a buyer consultation because you think it'll make it awkward or the client uncomfortable, you have the wrong loan officer.
Absolutely. And quite frankly, let me bring Tom on here. I'm going to bring it closer. Go ahead, Tom. What's up, buddy?
Let's not miss out on the elephant in the room called Zoom, right?
Yeah.
So nowadays, what I'm seeing out there is a trend of some more progressive real estate agents that are using Zoom and the technology we have also to enhance those conversations, make it super easy. You don't have to meet in person. It's not impersonal over the phone. It's right up on the screen. You can pull up a report. You have your loan officer with you, yourself, and obviously the client. It's super easy. Everybody's used to it because of the COVID crap in 2020.
Yep.
And I mean, that's the best way to get this done.
100% agreed. And that he's exactly right. I mean, because here's the thing, buyer, what is a buyer going to ask you at a buyer consultation? Well, what are interest rates like? How much are the closing costs? What's my payment going to be? I mean, listen, Tom's exactly right. You should be doing Zoom buyer consultations left and right. You should be getting great at them. And it's a great way to convert a client, a prospect into a client. And yes, you should be getting a buyer representation agreement signed the same way you get a listing contract signed. All right, let's keep moving forward. Number 3, under lead conversion, submitting for a property inspection waiver. Get ready for you guys' faces to melt off. So imagine a world And Aaron Wittenstein, I'm going back to you here. Imagine a world. You call a for sale by owner and you say, Mr. For sale by owner, what I'd like to do is this. Okay. When you're prospecting them, trying to get the listing, you say, there could be an opportunity to work with my mortgage partner to submit your property through their underwriting system to potentially waive a buyer's appraisal. Steve, tell us more.
So because in our market, the appraisal contingency is such a big thing in the highly competitive market. What I'm doing for clients is when they're going to submit an offer for buyers, and I ask them for the address and what house, Steve, what's the payment going to look like? Here's the taxes, insurance, we get all that. I say, give me the address. I put that into my loan application. I submit. Now, as a broker, it's really easy to do. I submit that loan application to a lender, and I'll actually run that through Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. Now, they have to be putting at least 10% down to get the property inspection waiver, but I can run that through in a matter of 10 or 15 minutes and call them back and say, hey, look, you can make this offer at, whatever it is, 350,000 with your 10% down. Then Fannie Mae is agreed to waive the appraisal based on these terms. So as long as your offer is on these terms, you can waive that appraisal contingency and you don't have to worry about it coming back, because it's very rare that Fannie Mae comes back and says, oh no, we don't want to do that anymore. So
let me be really clear. If I'm losing anybody, just to make sure you kind of you have like this aha with what we're talking about. A PIW, a property inspection waiver, is, to Steve's point, a lender, a good lender that you should be partnered with, can run the address through an initial underwriting system and submit to waive an appraisal, essentially contingency. Imagine all the angles you could take with this: writing an offer, securing a listing, talking to an expired listing, right? That property didn't sell. Right now you can go into the marketplace and say, hey, we have a property that under these circumstances doesn't require an appraisal. You could go to all the for sale by owners in your marketplace. When you talk about competing with multiple offers, imagine going to the listing agent, which we're going to talk about in a second, and saying, Mr. Listing Agent, matter of fact, upon some discovery, with our offer, with my client's offer, no appraisal needed. There's so much value in that. So that's number 3. Number 4, huge opportunity for everybody. Another one is presenting your offer. Okay, you're working with a buyer, presenting your offer. You guys ready for this? In person or over Zoom to the listing agent with the loan officer. Okay, you ever done that before? Who on this has ever in their real estate career submitted an offer to a listing agent in person and or over Zoom with their LO present, so that the loan officer can then present the buyer's financing? And so, Steve, talk about that a little bit. People are like, well, what do you mean the financing? Are you sharing credit scores? No, we're not. We're talking about the strength of the approval. Steve, what are your thoughts?
Yeah. So, and again, I preach that, like, and I don't even go as far as, I think the Zoom and in person's amazing. It doesn't get done nearly enough, if at all. But anytime I have a client submitting an offer in a house, I beg the buyer's agent, give me the listing agent's number. Let me call them. I do tons of these, and I tell the clients, my buyers, when they go, I say, listen, when you make an offer on a property, I'm going to call the listing agent. I'm going to tell them a little bit about you, and here's what I'm going to tell them. Like, my client has an excellent credit score. This loan was approved through Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, or is approved through FHA, through these 2 lenders. I verified their employment. I verified their pay stubs, their actual information. I've seen their bank statements. We have the money here. Like this, as long as your property is what you say it is, and it has a clear title, this loan will absolutely close. And here's all of my contact information for if you ever doubt that or have a question about that, you can reach me directly at any time in the process, starting now. And
that's like a mic drop opportunity right now, because guys, girls, everybody listening to this, what Steve just said is like game changer. If you are not having your loan officer present the buyer's financing to the listing agent in this multiple offer environment that we are in, where you're competing for every single offer you write, I mean, another opportunity for you guys to change the trajectory of your business, change the trajectory of the value you give your clients. And man, Steve, thank you so much for that. Because imagine you're a listing agent, folks, and you get a call or setting up a Zoom from a loan officer and the buyer's agent who presents it in this way. Do you feel more confident or less confident about the offer? Oh, yeah, that's right. You're like, okay, this is the obvious choice, which is the goal. So hold on, let me bring on Chris. Chris, go ahead.
That was a huge nugget. I just wanted to I was going to get up there and clap actually silently just to say like, wow, that was, that's a game changer in this market. I didn't even think of that. And I pride myself on being pretty upfront of stuff like that. That's fantastic, man. Thank you. I'm sorry to interrupt.
No worries. I want you to interrupt. I want you guys to interact, and I'm glad you're getting value. So Chris, anytime, man. Good to see you on here.
And I'll tell you this too. And I know it's just you and I sitting here saying like, do these things, they work. I can tell you that there has been so many occasions where I've made that, we call it PAL presentation, pre-approval presentation.
Yep.
I can tell you so many times that the listing agent has come back to me and like, we accepted this offer because of your phone call. I'm not trying to prop myself out or because anybody can do it. It's a simple phone call. They'll say, because you opened up that line of communication, it gave us so much more confidence. Or the one where we got the appraisal waive, they were not going to take our buyer's offer. They did not like our client's previous lender and they had a deal fall through for an appraisal. I said, look, I can get the appraisal waived. And she's like, we will take your offer right now if this is 100% true. We'd have cleared it close like 9 days. I mean, that's the pre-approval presentation. And you're the one that told me about it. And we started doing it and like honing in and perfecting it. It is absolute gold.
Yeah. Tom, go ahead, buddy.
Yeah. In the event that you can't coordinate a Zoom, right? There's everything from FaceTime to BombBomb videos to Instagram direct message video where you can actually get on with somebody. There is really no excuse not to use technology at its best. It doesn't always have to be Zoom. Zoom will obviously be probably the first and foremost, but sometimes people just don't want to sit down and go through that. But if they do, or if they don't, you have BombBomb videos. And if you have a loan officer that's progressive, like Steve happens to be my loan officer, he's very progressive. So he'll drop the BombBomb video in a second if I need him to, if we can't get a hold of the other agent. Great
point, Steve. Tom just put out there. Yeah, I mean, how many? So that's another thing, Steve, that you do is dropping a BombBomb video. If you guys don't know about BombBomb, it's just a video platform. You can make videos and email them, text them. Dropping a BombBomb video to the listing agent to say, hey, it's Steve with National Mortgage Funding. Bob and Jill just submitted an offer on behalf of Tom Tillier, the real estate agent. I love the opportunity to present their financing to you. Give me a call. I mean, we're talking about game-changing stuff. So we've got a few more minutes left, Steve, so I want to keep rocking and rolling, all right? And then I'll come back and I'm going to answer everybody's questions here in just a minute. Okay. We talked about presenting the offer. That was number 4 from a lead conversion standpoint. Number 5, so this is a huge one. So weekly follow-ups. As you start to build a pipeline together of prospects with your mortgage loan officer, this is what we recommend, okay? So two weekly follow-ups. A Monday call from the agent, okay? Hey, how did the weekend go? Did you see anything that I sent you that might make sense for us to go and look at this week? So that's in your calendar. So no lead gets left behind. And then the mortgage loan officer is doing the same follow-up call. We call it the PAL follow-up call on Friday. So walking through, hey, what homes are you looking at this weekend? So that Steve, you can go back and put it into your system and start looking at taxes and insurance and talk a little bit about the Friday PAL follow-up call.
So again, I give them, so I do on the Friday calls, I like to give them a market update, like, hey, here's rates. And like, thankfully rates right now are pretty steady, so it's kind of a broken record situation, but hey, here are the rates. Like, are you finding anything? Is it a price range issue? Do you want to hear? So I had a client I talked to yesterday, actually, that we're looking in a $500,000 house. And they're like, there's one we really like for 530. but I just can't bring myself to do that. And I broke that payment down from, they're like, oh, that's it. It was like $90 more a month. And they're like, that's all it was. Like, we're going to go look at that house. Like, so it's those things, and keeping that, the main thing is keeping that line of communication open and being reliable, right? Like, you want your buyer to tell, hey, we're looking at this house price is this much, taxes are this much. What's my down payment? And what's my monthly payment?
It's huge, man. I mean, again, Rochelle just said, dropping gold nuggets here, you guys. Thanks, guys. Yeah, I mean, this is why we do these mastermind sessions. It allows us to talk about things in a deeper level. And that follow-up call from your mortgage loan officer, when you decide to work with a loan officer, these are the types of systems and processes that we're talking about that we've got to make sure that get done on a consistent basis. But now that you've got the loan officer talking to them on Friday about, hey, here's what rates are at. What houses are you and Brandon looking at this weekend? Let me calculate the payment on that property. And Steve just dropped yet again another massive nugget, because the client was looking at a house that was $30,000 more that they thought was a non-option. And when they found out the payment was like $20 more, they're like, wait a minute. That opens up a whole new horizon. Buyers don't know. They don't know. It's up to us to educate them. So that makes a ton of sense. So I'm going to go in here and just answer a couple of questions. We've got 1 minute left. Do PIWs work for VA loans?
No, conventional only.
Conventional only, 10% down minimum. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, cool. All right. So the other question so Real Estate with Bill asks, who would you set the appointment with first? The mortgage loan officer or the buyer? So I think he's talking about a buyer's consultation, Bill. If that's the case, I try to set it with both. Is that the way you're looking at that question, Steve? Or are you looking at that?
Yeah. Yeah. So if you're a real estate agent and you get the lead for a buyer, you try to set it with both. But it's your lead, right? You have
That's
to
right.
That's your nugget.
Yeah. And so let me just give you a little bit more context, Bill. Yeah. So Steve's right. If you get an opportunity, you get a referral, your client's looking to buy a house, you get a lead, wherever the source came from, the first thing you want to do is you want to jump on a phone call immediately, right? And establish and open up that lines of communication to start talking about whether or not it makes sense for us to work together. After the initial call, after the first call, the goal of a phone call, everybody write this down. The goal of a prospecting phone call is to set an appointment, okay? So you get on the call with the buyer prospect. The goal or the outcome that you're looking for is to set that buyer consultation the same way we do with sellers. I think too many agents are missing the boat on this. So yeah, Bill, I see you, buyer consultation.
Great
so
call.
You have go ahead.
Good call to make. Hey, got your info that like, this is glad to hear you're buying a house. Let's set up a time where I can get you and I and our loan officer on the phone and we can talk through the whole thing in one shot.
That's right.
It's a convenience play.
That's right. And I think we just got to keep in mind, I think, when I talk about getting listings, Steve, things make more sense. But then when I start talking about buyers, we do it differently. I don't know why we would do that. So we have the initial call. The goal is to set a buyer consultation. And the goal is to either do that on a Zoom, to Tom Tillier's point, a Zoom, a conference call, a meeting in the office, a bunch of different ways. And then ideally you want the loan officer there, and you have to sell it because of the value for the client. The client's going to get a lot more value if you and the loan officer is there. And I'll give them a little script, Steve, so we'll role play this so that you guys can set more buyer consultations to help remove their resistance from wanting to meet. And so we call it the illusion, giving them the illusion of control. All of you, if you don't know about that, you should go and read this book, Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss. He talks about it. So here's what it sounds like. Steve, listen, let's not agree to do anything right now. Why don't we simply jump on a quick Zoom? I'll have my mortgage loan officer there. We'll run some numbers. We'll look at some strategies that will help you get a property in this market. And then after that meeting, Steve, you and I can decide if it makes sense to work together. Does that seem reasonable?
Seems reasonable.
Right? I mean, it's an easy appointment setting script that helps the prospect to feel confident, comfortable, and not pressured that you and this loan officer are going to hammer them, right? So any last words or anything that we missed, Steve? Hopefully you guys got a lot of value out of this. We do these every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. Steve, thank you so much for jumping on and dropping all the knowledge that you did. Any last things that we missed?
Nope. I think we got it.
Cool.
Got it.
All right, next week.
I talk about all the time. Just
No problem, Tom. Thanks for
always
participating.
be willing to do, keep an open mind, like unconventional things, especially with financing and mortgages today. Like that's the way the world works. So it's having a good creative loan officer that can find a way to make transactions work, and make sure you find something that's just always reliable. Like that's just, reliability is what everybody wants. You just like your car, you always expect your car to turn on.
Yeah, I love it. So join us next Saturday morning, both here on my YouTube channel. If you haven't, make sure you subscribe so you get notified, I should say. And then make sure you find me on Clubhouse. So every Saturday morning, 9 a.m., we do a live mastermind like this. I typically will bring on a host. Next week, we're talking about building a referral partner business, okay? How to go out there and partner with divorce attorneys, CPAs, financial planners to start getting more referral business for you and your mortgage loan officer. So there's certainly a strategy there too. So you guys have an awesome, awesome weekend. Let's stay productive, and I'll see you guys next Saturday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern time. Steve, thank you so much, buddy.
All right. Thanks, man. Have a good one, guys.